Welcome to Impress the Wife, the cooking show dedicated to the husbands who cook for their wives. And today, we're making coffee buttercream bites. Ooh la la. Stay tuned. You're in for a treat. Join me as I push myself to the limits of discovering and mastering the secrets of the kitchen and to ultimately impress the wife. Husbands, gather up. Here's the list of the ingredients that you will need. Alright guys, we'll start with the sponge cake. This way we'll have time to cool it down completely while we make the coffee buttercream. If you want to have a better rise to your sponge cake, use bread flour. I went to the grocery store today but failed to find one. It's hard to come by since the lockdown started. People are baking in their houses. I love it. Okay, so make sure that everything's in room temperature. We'll start by beating our egg whites with the sugar till we get stiff peaks. Tip: make sure that your mixer bowl and whisk attachment are free of any dirt, grease, or liquid. In order for the egg whites to rise properly, you have to have clean tools. Gradually add the sugar. Don't just pour it all at once. We are encouraging the formation of air bubbles. Dropping the sugar all at once will impede the process. While the mixer is doing its job, we'll combine the flour, egg yolks, oil, and milk until you achieve a smooth paste. Once the egg whites achieve stiff peaks, add the vanilla and we'll temper a small amount into the egg yolk mixture. By doing this, we are aerating the egg yolks and thus making it light enough so by the time we combine the components together, the egg whites will not deflate drastically. Just continue to fold until there are no more lumps of egg whites. Now, transfer the mixture to a baking mold. I am using a 13 by 9 by 2.5 baking mold lined with parchment paper. Don't brush with oil. The cake needs something to cling onto while it's rising. Using an offset spatula, even out the cake batter and give the whole thing a few drops on the counter to remove air bubbles. Set a timer for 45 minutes to an hour. The cake should be firm in the middle and a toothpick comes out clean when inserted in the center. Transfer to a wire rack and set aside to cool down completely. Now we're going to move on to the coffee buttercream. Critical point: the butter should be softened but still a bit cool to the touch. It shouldn't be melting. Also, the egg white should be at room temperature. Start with the syrup. We'll heat up the sugar and water to 240 degrees Fahrenheit. While that's happening, we are going to put our egg white in the mixer bowl with the whisk attachment. Next, we'll cut the butter in 1 tablespoon cubes for convenience. I highly suggest leaving a kitchen thermometer in the pot of syrup so you can gauge your timing properly. Once your syrup hits 220 degrees to 230 degrees Fahrenheit, start beating your egg whites to the maximum speed. Add the remaining 30 grams of sugar and beat until soft peaks. Finally, when your syrup is at 240 degrees, slowly pour it in the side of the bowl while the machine is still running. Let this run until the meringue cools down to room temperature. This is important. If it's too hot, our butter will melt and it will be a huge disaster. I tell you, I've been too excited too many times I ended up with a meringue soup. You can use your hands to feel the bowl and gauge if the meringue is cool enough to the touch. The meringue will bloom 2 to 3 times its volume and become glossy. That's a good sign. When it's cool enough, change to a paddle attachment and run the machine on medium speed, around 4 or 5, while adding the butter 1 tablespoon at a time. There will be a stage where you will freak out because the buttercream will look like it's breaking. That is completely natural. Just keep the machine running and it will become smooth after a couple of minutes. When all of the butter is already incorporated, you can add the vanilla. So here you go guys, now it's ready. Divide the cream in half. Place half directly into a piping bag. On the other hand, we'll add coffee liqueur and a shot of espresso on the remaining buttercream before finally putting it in a piping bag as well. Now we can assemble the cake. We'll slice the sponge cake in half horizontally, like this. You can go crazy with the filling inside. It doesn't matter what pattern you do as long as there will be the regular and the coffee buttercream when you bite into it. Then, place the top layer back and trim the sides of the cake. Divide the cake in 12 square portions as seen. You can freely decorate the top in whatever way you like it. And that is it. Just transfer the bites on a serving dish and you are now ready to impress your guests. Try adding berries or other fruits small enough to pair with a tapas-style mini dessert. And that is it, folks. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Please give this video a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to my channel to get notifications on upcoming videos or recipes. Until then, see you next time.